Good morning. I'm Mayor Tom Barrett. I'm joined by President Murphy and a number of Common Council members, and we will all have an opportunity to speak. The people who work here in city government are a family. There are times when family members don't get along, but we're family. Each and every one of the people who works in this building, who works for this city, has the best interests of the people of Milwaukee at heart. Right now, our family is shocked and we are rattled because we lost one of our family members, Alderman Joe Dudzik, who died last night suddenly and tragically, leaves behind a wife and two sons, and our hearts are there for them, for Lynn and the boys, because this is something that none of us can imagine happening in our own lives. This is a loss for everyone. Joe is someone, and we all have stories to tell about Joe, a very self-deprecating, committed guy who loved this city with an incredible passion. He worked for the Department of Public Works for decades. He knew the Department of Public Works inside and out. If anybody in city government, certainly for me, and I'm sure for his colleagues on the council, wanted to know something about the Department of Public Works, Joe was there. Joe had an opinion. Joe had a strong opinion, and he would share it with us. And he battled for his constituents. He was always there working for his constituents, but he did so in a manner that I think every one of us, every single one of us who ever interacted with him appreciated. He never made it personal. He always made it very professional, but he let us know where he stands. Again, a really, really good man, who loved his wife, who loved his sons, and who loved being part of the City Hall family. And he is going to be missed terribly by all of us. This is a tragedy, and again, we are family. We have disagreements, but this is a time when we are all together mourning the loss of our brother, Joe Dudzik. President Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. It is very accurate to describe this as a loss of a family member. Alderman Joe Dudzik was a man that we are proud to say is one of the proudest sons of Milwaukee. He was a dedicated public servant. He loved representing the 11th District. He loved representing the city of Milwaukee. He cared deeply about the people in his community. He was very proud of his Polish heritage. He would be unselfish in many ways that many of you may not know, where he would go out in his district and help citizens without telling anybody, but quietly doing it as a public servant because he cared so greatly about the city. It is truly a tragic loss. I know that his wife, Lynn, Jeffrey, and Jake will miss him greatly. His proudest accomplishment would be his family. He loved them deeply. He would come to my office many times talking about all of them. And like many of us, we all too often don't realize we don't have tomorrow promised to us. And we take it all for granted. And as the mayor said, we may not always agree, but we are a family down here at City Hall. We may have strong disagreements, but I think every one of the members of this council will tell you that Alderman Dudzik worked tirelessly on behalf of the people he served. And he was committed to making this city a better place. And he will be deeply, deeply, sorely missed, not only as a proud son of Milwaukee, as a colleague, but as a personal friend. Some of my best wishes, my deepest sympathy go out to his family, to his friends, and his constituents. With that, I would invite any of my colleagues to have a few words also.
Sorry, this is going to be very difficult for me. I was proud to have had Alderman Dudzik as a colleague, but I was more proud to have had him as a very close friend. Alderman Dudzik and I yesterday had lunch, and we would frequently do that. In fact, some small story folks don't know, I'm Joe and I are sort of cut from the same cloth, really a blue-collar mix. And one of the things that I think that Joe was your common quintessential Milwaukeean. He would have easily traded a suit that he put on during the day for a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Joe came into my office, as he often did, and I often just skip breakfast and I bring a lunch, and I usually get hungry about 11 o'clock, and around 11:30 he'd roll in and he'd say, "So have you eaten yet?" And yesterday was a day where I hadn't. And so I had the pleasure, unfortunately, of having one long lunch, last lunch, with my friend. Joe is the type of guy who worked very hard for his district. As President Murphy indicated, Alderman Dudzik was the type of alderman who, when he knew a constituent needed assistance, he would go there and do it. I can tell you cases where Alderman Dudzik, who had his own pull trailer, would go out, unbeknownst to anyone, when a citizen had concerns, to help them avoid a special pickup, and would drive out there on a Saturday and would load their items and take it to the city dump for them. That was the type of alderman that Alderman Dudzik was. He was an alderman who knew the backhand of city government very well, having come up from within. He understood the Department of Public Works. He served multiple capacities there, and he always approached his votes with thoughtfulness and with a measure of common sense, always keeping in mind what was in the best interest of his district and the way that his residents wanted him to vote. More importantly, and above and beyond that, one of the things that people may not know is Alderman Dudzik was a dedicated family man. My sincere, and I know as with the rest of our colleagues here, sincere condolences go out to his wife Lynn, his son Jake, and Jeff, and his mother and his siblings. Alderman Dudzik has a son who does have special needs, and he was not only active in the community in a number of capacities. Before he was elected alderman, he was a neighborhood association head. He was active as a block watch captain, but Alderman Dudzik was a caring father to both of his sons and spent a great deal of time volunteering in a number of capacities, whether it was as a soccer coach or with the Special Olympics. He's the type of person who didn't look for accolades. He's the type of person who showed up for work every day, just doing the best for the people who put him in office. That's something we could have a whole lot more of and need a whole lot more of, and that's something that will be sorely missed. I will miss him as my colleague, but I will miss him, more importantly, as a very close friend.
Quite frankly, and I know I'm sure I speak for my colleagues when I say it hasn't quite sunk in yet that Joe's no longer with us. I know I join all of them and the mayor in extending our deepest sympathy to Lynn and the boys and Joe's mom and the entire family. And it truly, tragic news like this truly makes one step back and take stock and realize the most important things in life. Life itself, our health, our families, God, and politics. Politics doesn't even enter the equation. Joe was as was said previously, a hardworking alderman, represented his constituents exceptionally well. He epitomized the blue-collar work ethic of Milwaukee. Long before he was alderman, serving this community as a public servant with the Department of Public Works. He will truly be missed, and also the common sense and his sense of humor that he brought to this council will be deeply missed. God bless you, Joe.
I'd also like to offer my deepest sympathies to the family, and I hope that their memories of Joe will bring them some comfort. I know they will for me. Alderman Dudzik, his way home was cutting through the 12th District, and he never hesitated to bring to my attention anything that he saw that we should be working on. And was always a kind man, even shared car parts with me, and will always be remembered for being a strong advocate for his community. He's a proud family man, and outside of City Hall, I used to see him often at every single event at the Polish Heritage and Cultural Center, where he was a leader and respected amongst his community. And so he will be very missed, and again, we offer our sympathies to the family. Thank you.
You've heard that Joe will be missed here. He certainly leaves a gap. He was a mentor for me in as much as he did have background that I didn't have. He was a mentor for a lot of the council in different areas that his expertise was in. As Alderman Perez has indicated, he was involved in the Polish community. He was not one to sit on his hands. He will be missed there too. He was on the Polish Heritage Alliance Board, active in Polish Fest, active in the Milwaukee Society, the Polish National Alliance, active in the Southside Business Club, and honored by a couple of those clubs along the way for his activities in the community. So he will leave a hole here, and also within the Polish community and the Southside community. He will be missed.
Yeah, I've served with Joe now for over 7 years. Served very closely with him, literally. I mean, our offices are right next to each other, always were close. And I served on, he's the vice chair of the committee I'm the chair of. But even without all that contact, it's hard not to know if you show up for work at City Hall that he's always here. He's always on the phone. If you called Joe and you lived in his district, or even if you didn't, he would call you back, and he'd be happy to agree with you, but he'd also be happy to disagree with you. He had the courage of his convictions, but he always took the time to explain his position to colleagues, to me in particular, but you can hear it. You can hear it through the wall on his passion, and you know that, that he took this job very seriously. This job meant a lot to him. It meant a lot to the people he represented when he worked for Department of Public Works. He took that job, I think, as seriously as he took the job of Alderman. He took all service seriously. And Jim Bowl and Bob Donovan talked a little bit about his commitment to his children. That was also obvious if you knew Joe. You knew how much his family meant to him. And my heart really, really breaks for them losing a father too soon.
I think it's been well said that the Common Council is very family-like. There's only 15 of us, not 99 legislators, not 435 members of Congress. We actually do get to know each other and know each other on a pretty intimate basis, in the sense that our offices are all clustered in one area of City Hall. Our doors are, by and large, mostly open, and folks drop in, chat, discuss family life, discuss personal matters, discuss their latest vacation, discuss their latest home improvement. You do get to know people here on the Common Council, which is perhaps unusual for legislative bodies that tend to be much larger. And with that context, it is the loss of a family member who I have come to respect. The 11 years I've served with Joe, including 4 when he was vice chair of Public Works Committee, of which I'm chair. I got to learn of his strong views on roads and highways and traffic calming and speed humps and things of that sort. And he had a certain intellectual honesty about him. Yes, there always are disagreements among family members, but they're still family. And when one of those family members are lost, we grieve, we're sad, and our condolences and our love goes out to his family and his children. So thank you.
On behalf of Alderwoman Malele Kaz and myself, we want to wish the family of Joe Dudzik good tidings, and we send our condolences to the family. I hadn't worked with Joe Dudzik as long as most of the Common Council members, having been the treasurer just for a short period of time, but we had frequent talks in the unofficial caucus room of the garage, where a lot of things got talked about by Common Council members and others. And he always, as people know, expressed his opinion, and I mean, he really would express his opinion. And I have to say that Joe Dudzik was the kind of person who he would make you laugh, and he loved to laugh, but sometimes you cried with him. And he was the kind of person who was not afraid to cry. Everybody who knows Joe Dudzik knows that he was not afraid to cry. We're going to miss his laugh. We're going to miss his weeping, and we will weep for him and his family. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I do want to make one final remark. I want to say specifically to the Milwaukee Police Department Captain Basting for the outstanding police work last evening, and also the firefighter who helped Joe and the Milwaukee Fire Department. They were a tremendous asset and great help for the family, so thank you to them also. And thank you very much.